Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. A man accused of murdering his girlfriend in Billings last fall says he didn't do it.
54-year-old Gregory Green, just brought back from Nevada on Sunday, is charged with killing Laura Johnson last September. Q2's Zoe Zandora was in court today and is standing by with more on today's plea. Zoe?
Yeah, Gregory Scott Green pleaded not guilty today to deliberate homicide during a brief appearance in court this morning by video from the Yellowstone County Jail. His bond set at $250,000, and Green was brought back to Montana and booked into the Yellowstone County Detention Center Sunday after being arrested in Nevada back in April. As you mentioned, Green has been accused of murdering his girlfriend, Laura Johnson. Johnson is still missing, but prosecutors allege they have evidence to prove Green killed Johnson and disposed of her body. Investigators looked further into her disappearance. They found camera footage from a neighbor that showed Green carrying what appeared to be a heavy object, cradle style, out of his garage. Documents state the object was covered in a blanket and was consistent with the size and shape of a body. They also saw him place a shovel in the bed of the vehicle. Now, detectives continue to search for a body. Right now on KTVQ.com, we have more details from court documents on this case.
All right, thanks, Zoe.
Well, one of two men accused of decapitating a man they met at a Billings casino 2.5 years ago admits that he did it.
34-year-old Jeffrey Haverty of Billings pleaded guilty yesterday to the death of Myron Weasley Knight in October 2017. Haverty and co-defendant 32-year-old Donald Cherry are both charged with deliberate homicide.
Now, according to court documents under a plea agreement, prosecutors recommend that Haverty spend at least 50 years in Montana State Prison and a maximum of 10 years.
Court documents state Haverty and Cherry met Knight at Montana Lil's Casino, where Knight was a regular customer. As Knight left the casino with the two men, he told staff to hold on to his winnings of $120 just in case the two tried to rob him. He also said if he did not come back, the two men were responsible. Prosecutors say the three men made their way to Haverty's nearby campsite, which is where Knight's body was found wrapped in a roll of carpet.
Cherry's girlfriend, who says she was with the three men at the campsite, told investigators that she left for about 15 to 20 minutes, but when she returned, Knight was bleeding and appeared to be dead. She then told investigators she watched as Haverty and then Cherry used a knife to decapitate the victim.
Both Haverty and Cherry are held at the Yellowstone County Detention Facility.
Haverty's sentencing date has not yet been set. Cherry's trial is set for July.
The former president of the Northern Cheyenne tribe faces a hefty fine and possible long prison sentence after pleading guilty to federal charges this week.
Those charges go back to when Jace Kilsback was health director for the tribe in 2014. Kilsback pleaded guilty to charges of wire fraud and conspiracy. Prosecutors stated that Kilsback requested and received reimbursement for official travel from the tribe and federal agencies, then provided false invoices.
Court documents do not specify how much money was stolen. Kilsback could face up to 30 years in prison and $500,000 in fines, although prosecutors are expected to ask for a lighter sentence because Kilsback admitted his guilt. His sentencing is set for July 8th. Kilsback was elected president of the tribe in 2016, but was ousted a year later.
He won the seat back in a special election in 2018, but suddenly resigned later that year.
A 16-year-old suspect involved in a stolen vehicle from Sanders County died this morning after he jumped into the Clark Fork River in downtown Missoula. Now, the stolen vehicle was out of Washington State. The Missoula County Sheriff's Office tells us during a traffic stop, the male jumped out of the vehicle into the Clark Fork River. Now, 3 other people in that vehicle were detained. A search for the 16-year-old ensued both by water and by air. At one point, he came out of the water to speak to officers, but jumped back in and went under. Missoula County Search and Rescue recovered the teen's body around 9 o'clock this morning. CPR was performed and he was taken to St. Patrick Hospital in Missoula, where he was later pronounced dead.
This afternoon, search crews recovered the body of a missing diver from Canyon Ferry Reservoir. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more from Yacht Basin Marina.
Search and rescue crews had been here in the area of Yacht Basin for most of the day on Tuesday, as well as earlier on Monday, searching the water for several hours. Now, earlier today, the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office confirmed to us that they were switching into a recovery effort to try and locate the body of the missing diver. Around 2:30 this afternoon is when they began to get a good idea of where that body might be found. Shortly after that, representatives from the County Coroner's Division arrived, and then around 3 o'clock is when the boats that had been out on the water searching started to come back into shore. Now, throughout the day, they'd been searching in the area north of Cemetery Island, where the man had gone missing earlier on Monday. Over the last few hours, with help from Flathead County, which brought in a dive team and a more advanced sonar system to do a more extensive search of that area, which was around 30 to 50 feet deep in some areas. But as we said earlier, around 2:30, that was when they located the body. The body has now been recovered, and so crews here are wrapping up the search effort and will move on to the next phase of the investigation. In Canyon Ferry, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Thanks, Jonathan. On the weather scene tonight, Bob, if our transition into summer teaches us anything, it's to not get comfortable with the weather because it's sunny one moment and rainy the next.
It's kind of like the clash of the seasons, and we're getting it again tonight. We've already had a couple of significant weather advisories, one for Yellowstone County, another one for Rosebud County by Forsyth. You can see the wave of showers that moved through earlier on. You can see it here on the Doppler radar. There's another wave getting ready to move in. You'll notice that one there. So here's what our forecast model is going to show you. You'll notice we have the one shower that's made its way past the Billings area now. Look at this, maybe about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight, we got another batch of showers moving into Yellowstone County, and Billings will probably get hit with some good showers after that. Then you'll notice generally dry conditions Wednesday morning, but by Wednesday afternoon, bam, 4 o'clock, heavy showers and thunderstorms moving in. Then after that, we kind of dry up. But take a look what happens on Friday. We're talking snow in the western mountains. That's right. Anyway, we'll have more about that coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, Montana Governor Steve Bullock's presidential campaign says Bullock has qualified for the second Democratic candidate debate in July, but that doesn't mean he's assured of making it on the debate stage in Detroit. Bullock's campaign announced today he met qualifications after polling at 1% in a new Iowa poll by CBS News. But Bullock is still the 21st candidate to qualify for that debate, and the Democratic National Committee has said it will limit to 20. That means a series of tiebreakers could determine who makes it on stage. Bullock did not qualify for the DNC's first presidential candidate debate set for Miami next week. Bullock will be in New Hampshire this weekend for several campaign events. Now, New Hampshire is the site of the first state presidential primary election next February.
Montana Attorney General Tim Fox and Montana Highway Patrol Chief Tom Butler have been at the U.S.-Mexico border since Sunday, meeting with law enforcement officials in Texas and New Mexico. Both Montanans said they're convinced the recent surge of migrants seeking entry into the U.S. is a crisis which directly impacts Montana. Fox and Butler say that means more methamphetamine is making its way to the U.S., including Montana, because Border Patrol has its hands full with the number of migrants crossing. When Fox was asked whether his visit is simply promoting his 2020 campaign for governor, he said his firsthand look at the border makes him a better informed advocate to urge action by Congress to help solve the problem.
Much of the crime in Montana, it's no secret, is driven by the increase in drugs coming to our state from across our southern border. And there's only so much we alone can do in Montana. And while my office has ramped up operations with our federal, tribal, and local law enforcement partners, the solution must be a national effort.
Fox is one of 3 prominent Republicans running for governor in 2020.
Well, the nation's second lady, Karen Pence, got a dose of Billings sass during her visit to the Magic City last week.
But between the biscuits and the Billings hospitality, the second lady also learned about the issues facing military wives. Despite the camaraderie, the Sassy Biscuit owners weren't about to share their signature recipes with the second lady's staff.
Instead, it is now official that it's a Billings tradition for the second lady when she visits Montana's trailhead.
Well, there's plenty more statewide news on Montana's CW. Here's a look at what else you can see tonight at 9.
I'm Andrea Lutz. A new fire station for a growing fire district. We're checking in on Missoula Rural Fire District's brand new station and seeing how it's possible. It's coming up tonight on the MTN 9 o'clock news on the CW.
And still to come on tonight's 5:30 Q2 news, Montana's working to reduce homelessness and the healthcare costs associated with it. Find out how.
And later in sports, we catch up with maybe the great next Montana rodeo star who's doing big things in an unorthodox event.
You're watching MTN News. with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.